So you guys know this guy named Charlie Kirk. A lot of people call him the living meme because he's just such a meme. The way that he looks, the way that he talks, just his whole existence is a meme. And he's been pretty much memed to death at this point. I guess he's the founder of Turning Point USA, which is a really cringe conservative group. But here is what he said on Twitter. He said, "Wait, let me get this straight. People who can't predict the weather 24 hours in advance are now telling us what global temperatures will be in 10 years, and then has like the thinking emoji like that. And it's like, okay, so clearly he doesn't know what the difference between weather and climate is. And this is something that is a very common misconception. And this is the problem with people who don't really think. Weather and climate are not the same thing. So climate is essentially the weather over long periods of time. The weather is just the constant changes as time goes by. And if you're looking for good videos talking about things like climate change and talking about dumbass points like this, Potholer 54 has really good videos on this.
Climate models can't do is predict short-term changes, because in the short term there are lots of minor fluctuations that affect measurements like temperature and sea level. It's like me trying to predict on January the 1st in Denver whether the temperature on February the 1st will be warmer or colder. It's almost impossible. But looking further into the future, it gets easier, and I can confidently predict that the temperature in Denver will be higher in May and much higher in July. That's because over short periods of time, the increasing warming of the sun may not overcome short-term fluctuations. But over a longer period of time, these background fluctuations become less significant. And while temperatures may go up and down on a daily or even weekly basis, I can confidently predict that every month in Denver between January and July is going to be warmer on average than the previous one. So what climate models can...
Basically, if you are to look at a graph, right? Let's say you have the weather, right? The weather going up is there's a weather graph, and it's going in different directions. The climate will overall have gone up, but there will just be small shifts as the weather's going. So long-term temperatures, long-term temperature changes are not the same thing as your daily fluctuations. So the way Potholer put it essentially is, I may not be able to predict what this specific day is, but I can sure as hell tell you that that day is going to be hotter than this day. So long-term is much different than short-term changes. And, you know, when you can't predict 24-hour changes, you know, long-term is much different. It's not the same thing. But people making really stupid points like this are really fucking crazy, and it's really embarrassing, man. It's so fucking embarrassing. And all kinds of these things, like Steven Crowder's video on climate change, are so embarrassing. But Steven Crowder misrepresents a lot of stuff. You know, their website saying NASA says the Earth is cooling, and it's fucking embarrassing. So I really recommend you check out Potholer 54 to look at these kind of dumbass points.